There you go. I can use technology. Hey guys, welcome to the formerly I don't know what my podcast is called before. Now it's Moss Performance. I've made a complete shift. The last 5 episodes have been strictly Moss Performance podcast. So welcome once again. I'm really excited to have Coach Fabio back on here and cover a really cool seminar that's going to happen in a month or 2 months in Phoenix called Programming Demystified. Coach Fabio will be there. Coach Hector will be there. Coach Pablo also is going to be there. They're going to be covering a wide variety of different protocols. But I'm going to shut up for a few seconds so I can let Coach Fabio say hi, and then we're going to dive right into an article before we start covering Programming Demystified. We're going to dive into a really interesting article. Coach, how's it going?
Well, it's going well. So first of all, thanks everybody for joining, for watching the episode. Thank you so much for inviting me again. Had lots of fun last time we were in a call together, and I'm looking forward to have just as much fun time this time. I was excited about being, again on your podcast. So glad to be
Did,
here.
did I did I ever tell you your episode is the most downloaded one so far? I think it has like close to 1,000 downloads.
Really? I had no idea, but I'm very
Yes.
glad to hear it.
Yes.
I don't know what people find interesting in this. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Makes me happy.
Uh, it made me happy too. I hadn't checked the stats in a while, and then I got an email the other day. They're like, "Hey, congratulations! Like you're close to 1,000 on this episode." But I thought it was just like over whatever, like over the month. So I was like, "Okay, cool." So then I actually dove into the stats, and I'm like, "Dude, 1,000 downloads, and it's from a bunch of different countries in the world." I'm like, "Dude, that really makes me happy to be able to spread
This is
some
good to hear.
some goodness."
I'm honored. So
You're famous. You're famous,
you
coach.
guys are listening. Thank you. Very much appreciated.
So first order of business, I was talking to Coach Fabio a little bit before we jumped on. I I read a bunch of the articles on Strongfirst all the time. If you guys aren't doing that, I really highly suggest you guys start doing that. I dug through the archives essentially because it's a little bit of an older article. And I found this really important or this really fantastic article talking about how 160 seconds a day of exercise can keep the doctor away. Coach Fabio told me that he came up with this idea during the pandemic, so I'm just going to let him run with it and talk about the article a little bit more.
Yeah. So I was telling Martin here that during the pandemic, here in Europe, especially in Italy, we had a very strict lockdown. So like for 3 months, we were not allowed to go out of home for pretty much anything unless you signed some paper. It was really hard. So basically, I realized one thing. I do have some space here, a little bit of yard, but still, and all the work became online. So basically, I was sitting in front of a computer like 10, 12 hours a day. And I was not doing the regular things that people do, like just walk down to the grocery or, anything. So we don't realize how much that little we do over the day is important. Because even though I was training on a regular basis, I was very careful about nutrition. I was gaining weight, feeling heavy, but not only that, being seated all day, I was feeling, like completely wrecked. I mean, lower back pain, very tight hamstrings. My posture was getting worse. Of course, I mean, most of my time, pretty much, 50% of my time was spent seated in front of a desk, and I was basically doing nothing. So I came across one research about how very short exercise makes the difference. And I thought, and it doesn't really matter if you do it, and you can find all the details about the research, by the way, in the article. It doesn't really matter if you do it all at once. You may like spread it across. So I thought, how about not killing two birds with one stone? So I said, I need two things. I need to move more and increase my daily expenditure of energy, of calories, But at the same time, I need to get off my seat, and I need to do it on a regular basis. And I thought, well, seated is one of the worst postures you can have. I mean, except for ankle dorsiflexion, basically, uh, your uh, your knees are in flexion, so your hamstring get short.
Yeah.
Your lumbar spine becomes straight. your T-spine gets more rounded. Your head, instead of staying on top of your shoulders, gets in front of your shoulder. It's so bad for you. And you get so many muscles, tight and short. Yeah, every time we talk about this, you feel like, let me go straight up.
You got
my feet, right?
You got me readjusting my posture.
Yeah, you talk about it, and you want to straighten up. So I said, I need to do the opposite. I need to do the anti-seated position. And I thought, what can I do? I remember there is a friend of mine. I don't know if you know, barefoot training specialist certification is something that is held also in the US, but in Italy it's held by a friend of mine. And every time he presents to a congress or something, what this guy does, he sets a timer, and every hour whatever he's teaching, whatever people are doing, let's say he's teaching an 8-hour seminar, every hour when the timer rings, he has everybody get off the chairs and do something. You may do push-ups, you may do like 5 squats, you may do pistols, whatever, but you need to break that oblivion of being just seated, right? And this is great because first of all, you just wake up, you get some adrenaline in there, and you improve your posture. So I thought about what I learned from this guy, which I thought it was a great idea, take a break from doing nothing every hour. And at the same time, I thought about improving posture, improving energy expenditure. And what I thought, what could we do? I thought about the swing, the one-arm swing. I thought, what's better than that? I mean, it's the anti-flexion movement by excellence. You straighten up your body completely. And also, if you do it one arm, you get an asymmetrical load. So you have to also fight torsion, bad postures. I thought it was great. So I took from that research I found the total time that's needed in a day to improve your energy expended. How do you say it in English? Expenditure. And so I put that on one end. I thought about the swing, and I thought about breaking the seated position every hour. And I said, okay, all you need to do is basically a few swings, 3 to 5 swings every hour on top of the hour. So I did that for the entire pandemic time. And guess what? I'm still doing this. I mean, really? I do this. Yeah, I do it all the time. Okay. It's not always a swing. I may do some strict burpees, for instance, or anything. But every hour, I need to stand up and do some form exercise. And sometimes you're on the desk, you just feel like you're falling asleep, and you just take those 5-10 seconds, and it changes your day completely. So what I've been doing for the entire pandemic, I had this timer every hour. Whatever I was doing, I would interrupt, right? Go right here outside of my door and do a set of swings, and it would be like 3 to 5 swings per arm every hour. Just sit back and keep doing what I was doing. So I wouldn't break a sweat, because one problem, if you stay all day, you got Zoom calls and stuff, you cannot be all sweat through. You cannot do a full training session. But 3 reps, 5 reps, what does it do? But it was just enough to make the change. So take a look at the article. It may be interesting. I'm so glad you found it out and you brought it up. At the time, it had some good reviews. People loved it. And I think it's a good way of, getting off the couch, especially at that time. It had a particular value. I mean, if you work in a gym, you keep standing up, walking around, depending on what your activity. But most of the people right now work in front of the desk. And I'm thinking that whatever office you work in, whatever you do, you can find a way to stand up every hour, pace it, and do something. Maybe your colleagues may think you're crazy, but if you can't bring a kettlebell and do swings, you can do like 5 bodyweight squats.
True.
5 push-ups or whatever. Whatever works for you. You don't break a sweat. Let's say you're dressed for work. You cannot do crazy stuff. You cannot do a split or anything like that. But you will find something you can do every hour. And the other thing about this is that it will increase your energy expenditure, because, from 0 to doing something, even if it's a little bit, that will affect your EPOC. There's no way you can do it. If it's explosive stuff, power movements, even better. Think about all what Pablo says about, training with power for a few reps, with the swings, the snatches, or whatever. So I thought it was a great idea. I just thought, let's put it into the article, and it came up well. And again, everything I write, usually it's about something I do. I tested, I don't like to tell people what to do, like do what I say, don't do what I do. Do it first, lead by example, and then someone may, follow the idea.
No, I think you bring up so many important points, and something that resonates a lot or that stands out a lot is this whole idea of people thinking that you're crazy, right? Just because you're trying to take care of your health. I think that always blows my mind. Like, you can go and have bad food at a restaurant, be seated at your desk the entire day, and nobody's gonna say a thing, right? But the second you do 5 squats or 5 push-ups or 5 swings, heck, like you have your office space, you do some 5 swings every hour to keep yourself healthy, everybody's gonna call you crazy. I'm just like, dude, why? Like, why? How is it that we've gotten to this place where people don't appreciate being healthy? Or I don't know if it's not they don't appreciate, but I don't know what it is, and it's kind of sad. But.
And you said it. It's interesting because some things are perceived as natural. I mean, if every hour you take a break and drink a coffee, eat a donut, or go out and smoke a cigarette, not much a cigarette in the U.S., but in Europe, it's still fairly common. That's okay. It's normal. But if they see you like doing jumping jacks or a couple of burpees, right, then you're crazy. But who's the craziest? Doing something that's good for you, or just slowly poisoning or killing yourself. Because this is what we basically do, right?
It is, and it's really scary. I think one of the things that made me laugh, but I know it's true, is how these swings or this protocol throughout the day helped you and your friends get the 6-pack back. I thought that was fantastic, and it bought me. I'm like, dude, I'm sold. I am going to do this now, and I'm going to get shredded and be part of that group of people. that's
and seriously, I was on a call a few hours ago with a friend of mine who does, I don't know if it's common in the US now, it's very common here, everybody does what we call body recomposition.
Okay.
So, those programs where basically your idea is not to lose weight, but to change your body composition. So, lose fat and gain some muscle mass. And it's all about, it's not about a diet. It's not about restriction. It's about education on nutrition. So eat better, move better, right? And try to change how your body works. No, actually, change not only how your body looks, but how your body functions and how you feel. And so he's an expert in nutrition, and he was saying that doesn't matter if you do a paleo diet, if you do a carnivore diet, if you do a vegan diet, whatever you decide to do. At the end of the day, and of course, different foods have different biochemical pathways in your body and lead to different effects. But at the end of the day, it's a matter of how many calories you eat, how many calories you burn. We all agree that carbs influence your insulin more than fats and so on and so forth. Yes, but at the end of the day, you need to introduce less calories than the one you use to lose fat. That's the end. And so basically, everybody tries to create a deficit, in a day, so if my body uses, let's say, 2,500 calories, I need to eat 2,000 to lose weight, to lose fat. Yeah. And he talks a lot about average. Says, don't think about the day. Otherwise, you'll die. You'll feel too much restricted. Make sure to create this deficit across a longer period of time, for instance, a week. So this will allow you to have a free meal every once in a while, change a little every day. You don't feel restricted to eat always the same food, the same amount all the time, but make sure that you get the deficit in the longer term. And this was interesting because it applies also to training. For instance, if you look at principles like Plant Strong and so on, and Grease the Groove or other training system methodologies, what it matters is that you accomplish your training volume, so you put all your reps in throughout the day. So yes, there is a difference. Let's say you have to do 30 squats instead of 5. So 6 sets of 5. Is it different if I do them all in a row, or if I do 15 reps in the morning, 15 in the afternoon, or if I do 5 every hour for 6 hours? Yes, there is a difference, but all of them will work. I still get the training stimuli. So I'm not saying it's the same, but I'm saying that in the long term, the volume of training that you accomplish is what really matters. And there are, especially for high volumes, this is interesting. If you read Plant Strong, one of the manual, one of the things that Pablo suggests says, if you have more than 30 reps in a certain given exercise, a volume of 30 reps, we're talking about, of course, about, Plant Strong 70. So it's about, medium high intensities. Let's say you have a volume of 50, so more than 30. Don't try to do all the 50 in a row. Just break it. So like to 30 and 20. You may, and let at least 1 hour between the 2 mini sessions. Because of course, if you get to the point in which you fatigue and you lose focus and your technique, the quality of a rep goes down, then you're going to accomplish a high volume, but not a quality volume. So probably it's a better idea to break it. So of course, if I had 30 reps, I don't want to break them through a week or through too much stuff. But on the other end, I don't want to try to do them all in a row and clock my rest intervals and do it too short and lose quality. So there is a range of effectiveness. You don't want to increase your training density too much. You don't want to decrease it too much, but you have a range in which your training will be effective. Of course, we're talking about strength here because, hypertrophy, especially certain types of hypertrophy, follow some different rules. But for strength training, for health, for whatever, for power, that's going to work. Think about gymnasts. They may, professional ones, what's the problem is that some of the skills they practice, they're pretty much the 1 rep max. I mean, there's something that is really intense for them. So for instance, let's say you want to do the iron cross and you can hold it for 2 seconds, right? So you're a very high level gymnast. You can't do 3 sets of 2 seconds in a row or 5 sets. So what do? They may stay in the gym for 6 hours, professional ones, I used to see some gymnasts there is an Olympic center close to where I live, where some professional gyms would train. They may stay so many hours in the gym, but they would take very generous rest intervals. I mean, between hard skills, even 1 hour or more. What would they do in the meanwhile? Take generous rest, but do something different at a very lower level of intensity. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want to work close to your 1 rep max in your bench press. Right? And so you're 90% over and you want to do 6 singles that day. You know that if you want to keep a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes rest between those 6 singles, first one will be okay. The second probably even better. You will boost your neurological system. But then starting from the third one, you may have a hard time and a harder time. And after that, your nervous system will be completely burned. You'll be super tired, and you probably won't be able to focus on anything else. But let's say that the same day, your program calls from some light squats and, and some, light squats and ladder rows, okay?
Okay.
What about if you do your single in your bench? And then you take a very generous rest. And in the meanwhile, you do your easy set of squat. And you use your easy set of row. And then you go back to the bench. Right? Of course, you don't want to go to the point in which you'll be you will need to redo all your mobility. But if you do rows, you will still, get the blood flow and so on. You will probably get a better deal with this. For instance, the way I train, I don't know if I ever told you, but I always train at least two skills, two movements at the same time. So for instance, this was my training session today. Today, I trained my military press, my pull-ups for heavy. I only had doubles and triples. So my military press was calling for 85 kilos, which is a fairly good weight. And I was doing weighted pull-ups. I don't use too much weight on our pull-ups anymore because of some issues on my elbow, but still, weighted pull-ups.
Yeah.
And I would do a set of military press, take my rest, and then a set of pull-ups, take my rest. So it would be more than 5 minutes between set of military press. But overall, my rest interval between sets would be 3 minutes or less, right? Once I finished all my sets of military press and pull-ups, I went to my bench press and pendlay rows, and I worked them up together.
Okay.
So I did a set of bench press. I would take my rest, do a set of pendlay rows, take my rest, and so on. And then after that, I would do my kettlebell military press. So back to the vertical press and vertical press and pull partner, and then do some chin-ups. So I did heavy training for military press and pull-ups. I did my medium training for the bench press and the pendlay row, and then I did my light session for the vertical pull and vertical press. This plan I'm on now is upper body. So some days I'm training the upper body, some days the lower body. In other plans, I may alternate a set of military press with a set of deadlift.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah.
You probably saw that in Build Strong or in Plan Strong. This is something we often do. Or I would do my pull-ups with my squats, and so on and so forth. So I tend to train too because I optimize my training time. And at the same time, I'm sure I don't rest too short. And different activity is basically a form of rest. So it's interesting.
I agree with that. Yeah, so for the most part, that's like whenever we have teams, right, and they all come in, that's kind of how it works, right? You're focusing on one thing, it's paired with something else, in terms of time, in terms of space, just efficiency. And I think that's something that's often overlooked. People just tend to just like boom, 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 list things out. But there is an art to what we do, right? Would you agree to that?
Yeah. There is Boris Sheiko, who used to be the coach for the Russian powerlifting national team. And he's one of the guys who got more world records on the board. Really great coach. I had the honor of meeting him in person. And he would, for his lifters, he would do very often what they call the bench press marathons. So he would give way higher volume on the bench press than the squat and deadlift. And sometimes the volume on the bench was really, really high. So what he would do 2 mini sessions of bench press within one session. So you would start your bench press session and do probably like 12, 15 sets, by the way. Then you would leave the bench alone and you would go to your light day of your squat, right? You would do all your squats and then you would go back to the bench and do another 10, 15 sets in the bench. What? And this is something that, by the way, I'm going to bring it to Program Demystified. I'm going to bring a couple of plans where you will have this idea where you take your heavy session of one lift, and heavy means maybe about weight, maybe volume, maybe both. So intensity and volume, and you break it in two different parts with, by the way, different training modalities, but you sandwich between those 2 mini sessions of the same lift, you sandwich a light session of another lift, which did the heavy day on another day. So let's say that you're sandwiching your light squat between 2 heavy bench press mini sessions. And then 2 days later, you will sandwich your light bench press session between two mini heavy sessions of squat and so on. So that's an interesting, and it delivers. It
Really?
delivers incredibly. Yeah. I could not believe when I got the idea from Bobby Shaker and I applied all across the board. And when I collected the results, I said, oh my God, this stuff works. So
for something like that, coach, how long would you run it? Like, what's the sweet spot in terms of time? Not like during training session, but like just overall time.
This plan I just mentioned, it's a 15 weeks plan. So you do this 4 times a week for 15 weeks.
Oh, damn.
It's interesting. And by rotation, you get those 2-minute sessions and the light in between. And I use it very often. And there are, so what I did personally for my part of Program Demystified, I took some type of different, I wouldn't say plans. I'm going to show some plug and play plans, but basic strategies. So when I design a plan, I don't design the final plan. I design a strategy.
Okay.
So the ongoing of the plan, right? And then out of that strategy, which creates basically a template, I may design 15 different plans out of it, but the strategy or the algorithm, if you want to call it so, it's the same, right? So I can apply edible barbell body weight, according to the preference of whoever I'm giving the plan to. And what I basically did over the past, I think 3 years, I've been testing several, strategies and ideas. And the way I usually do it, I try it on myself first. If I don't injure it or die, then I can try it on someone else. So
that's a great rule of thumb.
Long story short, I have a training partner. We've been training together for 22 years.
Oh God.
We train together all the time. Now I'm sad now because he went to live, he moved because he is living now with his girlfriend in a neighbor town, but not too close. So it's 2 months that we can only train twice a week together. And I have to do my other sessions alone, and same he does. We used to do all the training session together and the conditioning session. He would do it at his home, I would do it at my house. But we would meet for 22 years. We would train 4 times a week together. And now it's only 2. So I feel sad for that. But so I designed the protocol, I test it, and I may change it, over the place. Then I have a bunch of guinea pigs. I call them guinea pigs, which are being friends, most of them are friends being friends for 10, 15 years, who always try whatever I write down. So after I test it, I give it away. I have some new entries. For instance, Annalisa Naldi, one of our senior instructors, she always does whatever plan I do, she does it, right?
Okay.
And I have a few others. So basically, it's me, my training partner, Annalisa, and then after that, there is a list of about 25 people who will do the plan. Now, once they did the plan, I collect the result, I make adjustments, and then I give it to another bunch of people. So when I see, that I have refined the strategy, collected the results, sometimes, too much volume here, not enough there, the peaking phase needs to be adjusted. And when I say, okay, this one works, then I can disclose it. So basically, I took the most successful plans I designed in the past 3 years, and I'm gonna explain how they work in Program Demystified. The idea is giving 2 things: giving some strategies that a high-level coach can use to design his own plans, right? And also give some plug-and-play plans. Just do this on Monday, do this on Wednesday, do this on Friday. Because, some folks are willing to invest some time and try to design their own. Some other folks prefer, what? I'm not a coach. I just want to get my results. Tell me what to do and I'll do it. So that's pretty much the idea.
Okay. So I'm looking at the list right now. I'm going to go over them really quick. So Plan Strong Tactical Template, Mat Strong Protocol, Always Be Ready Algorithm, Plan Strong Algorithm 1118, Build Strong R&D Algorithm, Strongfirst Plan 414, Hypertrophy Plan 701A, PTP 2.1, Reload 2.0, Barbell Rite of Passage, Soviet EC Mass Methods, and Hypertrophy 12 Training Method. Out of all of those, Coach, which ones are yours?
Okay. Some are mine and some I incorporated into. So Barbell Rite of Passage is one of my favorite. The HYP 12 is mine.
Yes.
The Reload 2.0 is mine. There is another one you mentioned. I don't remember them all. And,
Plant Strong, Mat Strong, Always Be Ready. Plant Strong Algorithm 1118.
Plant Strong, Pablo. Mat Strong is actors, so people know who they come from. List them all. I'll tell you who they came from.
Always Be Ready. Algorithm.
I think that is actors.
Plant Strong Algorithm 1118.
18. That is something that Pavel came up with, and there is some of my stuff in there because we've been testing it together. Okay, so it's both.
Build Strong R&D algorithm.
R&D, by the way, this is interesting. If you ever play with a computer programming, you know that R&D is the acronym used for random numbers.
Okay.
So it's interesting because I'm gonna write an article and publish before Programming Demystified, an easy version of the R&D, but this one is basically a grid, the R&D.
Okay.
So, and you get numbers, numbered columns, and numbered rows. So you roll 2 dice, right? And according to the numbers where they cross, you get your training parameters. So your parameters, intensity, volume, and so on will change. You will have this grid, you know, like, and you get in a different cell of the grid, and you change your parameters session by session or week by week. And it makes sure that you get, the idea is a sustainable plan. It's something that if you don't want to think and you want to get good results for months without thinking, this makes sure that you always comply with Delta 20 principle. So you can just follow the grid, roll your dices, right? And then every once in a while, all you have to do is reassess your 1 rep maxes or your RMs at given with given weights, and then simply recalculate the plan. So it's interesting. All you need to do is have this grid.
I like so here's I'm gonna give the people like a description or definition. If you guys want to look at everything more in depth, go to Strongfirst, search special events, and then look up Programming Demystified. So Strongfirst, special events, Programming Demystified, and you'll be able, and then you'll be able to see the list. So for this program that we're just talking about, it's the same idea as 1118, only for maximizing muscle mass. So plug your numbers into a sophisticated spreadsheet, do what it tells you, make sure you eat, and then you're gonna get super jacked and grow. So that's what you're looking for. This
now that is, you know, I designed a plan. Now, who writes the ads? You know, writes the copy is Pavel. Pavel he's incredible the way he writes it. You know,
really,
he makes it so appealing. You know, and I wouldn't be able to make it as appealing as Pavel can. Yeah. So let's go on with the list. After the BTS R&D, what do you have?
Strongfirst plan 414.
414 is Pavel's.
Hypertrophy plan 701A.
This is Pavel's.
PTP 2.1 and Reload 2.0.
Reload 2.0 is me, and PTP 2.1 is Pavel Knight.
Okay. Barbell Rite of Passage.
That's mine.
Yours.
Yeah.
2 Soviet EC Mass Methods.
Those are Pavel's, and no one actually yet knows. Pavel hasn't disclosed them to Hector and I, so it's going to be a surprise for us also. Just can't wait to see it. I'm looking forward to
it. And HYP 12 hypertrophy training methods. Okay. And I think that is the last one on the list for now.
And by the way, the HYP, this is the one I was talking to you about, in which you have 2 sessions of the same exercise as pieces of bread and a light exercise sandwich between the middle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's the last on the list.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. And also we, you know, something that we have been, we've been searching a lot on some parameters that you can track that can help a coach designing better plans. For instance, something that can, let's say that you took Plan Strong and you designed Plan Strong plans.
Yeah.
Expose some parameters that will make your job in designing plans easier and will prevent you from making mistakes in designing process.
Okay.
So we're going to introduce some new parameters such as the, if you did Plan Strong, you heard about ARE, average relative intent. Now we're going to introduce the ARE,
okay.
average relative effort. So
okay.
Because we will start measuring the effort. So you will find, I'm going to just give you an example. You know that in Plan Strong you have this, and Build Strong you have this prescription with say, okay, you never want to work to failure. So let's say that you can do 9 reps. Your set, your number of reps per set should always range from 1/3 to 2/3 of your RM. So let's say you can complete 12 reps with a given weight, right?
Okay.
You should never do less than 4, which is 1/3, because less than 4 would not be effective. But you should never do more than 8, because then you fatigue and you will compromise your ability to do good reps in the following sets. So your rep range would be 4 to 8. And ideally, you should stay in the middle. So let's say that you're working with, let's say 75% of your 1 rep max, and you're doing a total of 30 reps, 25 reps, okay? And your RM with 75% is 10, right? So how can you complete those 25 reps? You may do 5 sets of 5, right? But you may do 2 sets of 10 instead of 5. Or 2 sets of 8 and 1 set of 9. Or you may do, I don't know, all sets of 3 or whatever. You may do it in different ways.
Yeah.
You use the training parameters that we usually track. It's the same because the volume is the same, the intensity is the same, the RM you're using is the same. So the plan should be the same. But you do understand that if I'm doing 2 sets of 10 and 1 set of 5 versus 5 sets of 5, or 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Because the effort will be different, the quality of the reps will be different, but the results you will get in terms either of strength or hypertrophy or power is different. So basically, we're going to track and monitor the effort, and we will say, if you want to improve your power, this is where your average effort should stay. If you want to work on your pure strength, this is where your effort should stay. This is the range. If you want to work on hypertrophy, this is the type of effort you want. So be working on those type of monitoring parameters.
Yeah.
Be working on experimenting with different barbell speeds. And then the 2 things I'm particularly proud of, there are so many formulas to establish your estimated 1 rep max out there. You find so many in the net. And if you know, no one worked. No one of them worked. Seriously, of course. I mean, I know so many people who can do only 1 rep with 90% of 1 rep max, but some others may do 3. But if you take like 80% of 1 rep max, some people may do 5 reps, some people may do 10, which means that if you base your calculation of your 1 rep max according to how many reps you can do with a given weight, getting an accurate one is a gamble.
Yeah.
So I've been working on some algorithms, and everything started with analyzing graphically and then turn it into an algorithm to use 2 different RMs with 2 different weights. And according to those 2 RMs with 2 different weights, establish an accurate 1 rep max. So you can have a good 1 rep max without testing it, which, as you know, there's some exercises in which it makes no sense to test a 1 rep max. For instance, the barbell row. If
Yeah.
you try one max, you always cheat. Or you may have situations in which you don't want to test it, like an
Sure.
intermediate athlete, someone that has been doing a 1 rep max for several times, or someone who trains with weights, but for instance, just fighter. They don't need to test the 1 rep max on a regular basis to, they just
No.
need to know just enough to establish their training weights. So basically, so this type of formula should help. And then the other thing, Pablo and I published that small ebook, Reload, which being used a lot, where basically the center of that book is, if you want to design a linear plan, you need to establish very precisely your weekly weight increment. Because if your weight jump week by week is too high, you're gonna hit a wall. But if it's too low, you end up under training at the beginning, overtraining at the end, and you will never reach a good peak. So you need to establish a perfect weight jump week by week. And Reload was fairly precise, but Reload 2.0 has a different way to calculate it and apply it. It's way more precise. So I realized that if I take a beginner or an intermediate athlete and I establish a weight jump in a cycle linear or weight cycle or whatever, I can afford not being too accurate and I will get results anyway. But the more advanced the athlete, if you make a mistake by a couple of pounds in the weekly increment, you're going to mess up the peak and the preparation. Yeah. The more advanced is the athlete, the more precise you will have to be in your calculation. So Reload 2.0 is really accurate, really precise. So it has a value after you did a few Reload cycles, or when you have been in a in the lifting game for some time, it's going to provide some extra value, in my opinion. So and we never disclosed this stuff before, so it's going to be never talked about before. So I'm so excited about it, super excited.
I'm really like, guys, you guys got to watch the video. He's super happy. He's excited as he's sharing this. No, a tool like that is so valuable. Just even when it comes to training athletes, general population, whoever it is. Sometimes there is no value in testing that 1 rep max, like you said. I always like to think risk versus reward. But in terms of as our job as coaches, we need to know these percentages. We need to know these numbers to better program, to just make better choices for our athletes. So I can't wait to learn and just completely dive into that tool.
We need to keep things simple.
Yeah.
Which is why we try to, to space and provide some very advanced tools for coaches, but some very easy tools for those who just want to train. Mm-hmm. And also for those who do need to lift and get stronger or build some muscle mass, but for whom it's not the main dish. I mean, because everybody can get benefits on, getting stronger. Yeah. Many can get benefits on building muscle mass. I say many because in some sports, you want to get stronger, but you don't want to gain weight. But also, gaining muscle mass, not only for bodybuilders. Think about when you age, sarcopenia, sarcopenia, and also muscle mass will help you by just more attention together with strength training, increase your bone density, several other things. So building muscles is not only for bodybuilders, but so everyone can get great benefits of being stronger and building muscle mass. But for many, may not be their main goal. They may not even care about it. It may be something that for them is like for me doing mobility work. I hate doing mobility work, but I know it's a necessary evil. I have to do it because I have to do it, right? Yeah. So what I try to keep my mobility work to the bare minimum. This is what I need to do. I'm not going to do it less. I'm not going to do more. For instance, my mobility work, basically, I do OS, original strength stuff, which is simple and straightforward, right? So what I'm saying is that I need to provide tools. If you are into the strength business I need to give you everything you need, even if it may be complicated as a coach. You got to make things simple for your athlete, but you're okay with more advanced stuff. But if you're someone who needs to be strong, but it's not your main dish, your main goal, because you run a marathon, you just want to do some weight training not to lose mass, or you play karate, or you you ride a bike, or you climb, whatever. In that case, you want a minimal effective dose, but also you want it to be simple. You don't want something you're going to burn your brains on and be complicated and time consuming, because every extra minute you spend lifting weights, it's a minute you're taking away from your main sport. So we need to we need to give tools for each one of those categories. I'm a boxer, I need to be on the ring. I play soccer, I need to be on the field. So in those cases, strength training is important, but I need to get the biggest bang for my buck. But on the other end, I'm a bodybuilder. Oh my God, I need hypertrophy. I'm a power lifter, a weightlifter. I need to be strong, and so on. So the idea is giving tools for everyone. Hopefully, we'll be able to. We only have 2 days.
I mean, it's a really big menu that I'm looking at here.
This is what scares me, by the way. We got the 3 of us, a lot of stuff to cover. We'll probably run out of the schedule. I'm pretty sure about that. We'll end up doing it.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. Right now that you mentioned other sports and the needs, I do want to give people a heads up. We are planning on recording an episode about just conditioning, especially applied to soccer players, and we're gonna have Coach Mauro on, right, Coach?
By the way, I didn't, since he's on vacation now, I didn't tell him. But I'm not asking him if he wants to join. I'm telling him he's joining. Now he is English. He will be a little slower with English, but I can help him out. He speaks and understands good English, but of course he doesn't speak so fast as I do. So you will hear a proper Italian accent.
I'm looking forward to it. I do want to ask you one thing. So we went over a bunch of stuff, right? I'm actually gonna ask you 2 things. What, in terms of hypertrophy, if you had to narrow it down to very important things, what would that be? And then number 2, when you think conditioning, what are the most important things you think about conditioning, and how do you apply that to yourselves?
Okay, so hypertrophy, you mean what? Narrow it down to the most important things to get in hypertrophy.
Yes, right? yes.
Okay, neural, mechanical, metabolic. There's 3 stimuli. There's a neural stimuli because you need to recruit motor units. So basically, it's strength. Be strong first, and big second. So neural, mechanical stimuli means that you need to load your muscle with. You need to put load and volume on your muscle. They need to be mechanical work. And then there is a third part, which is what we don't really do much in Strongfirst, but bodybuilders would do, which is what they call it here in Italy, they call it the metabolic, which is basically, higher reps, and what leads to, Arnold at the time would call it pump, right? Leads to that more of sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. Now it's interesting because the first 2 are stable. The third, it depends whether you're interested, you need it or not. So for instance, when I was a bodybuilder, I used to do the 3 of them. Now I don't care about, I just do 1 and 2. I don't really do much for the metabolic conditions to create hypertrophy. And also bodybuilders, most of them don't get that the first and the second one not only make your muscles grow, but are persistent in time. If you're strong and you get the right stimuli there, you stay off training for a couple of weeks, your muscle will stay there. When you pump your muscles, right, you get the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy. It only takes a couple of weeks to achieve that extra volume. It only takes a couple of weeks to lose it. So it's something that you need to do if you're a bodybuilder and if you need to be big all the time. So that's pretty much narrowing down hypertrophy. Not super scientific, very easy. conditioning, I got a joke on this here because to me is a necessary evil.
Yeah.
I do conditioning because I like it. I do. I know it's healthy.
Yeah.
And this is why I was so happy when Pablo came out with strong endurance, and the AGT type of training, because I never been a lover of high reps, or I never loved high intensity interval training, all that stuff. If I have to do conditioning, to me, I prefer long distance and the old way of walking, hiking for a long time, or just jogging, stuff like that. This is just my preference.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of being out of gas, feeling like I want to poop in a bucket, or feeling my muscles burning and feeling sore the following days. I've never been, especially because it compromises, my following days of lifting heavy.
Absolutely.
So to me, conditioning is right now, it's basically power training and AGT type of protocols. And again, it's not something I love to do. It's something I do because I know it's good for me.
Okay.
This is my personal thing. I mean, to me, fun is lifting heavy for low reps. I used to joke, to me, everything 5 reps and above is cardio.
True. That's true.
And while there are some folks, who love doing sets of 10 and so on, once I joked with Pavel, I said, listen, I propose that I do my snatch test with a 48 kilos. And he goes, oh yeah, do that. I said, yes, but in 50 days. Side a day. Instead of 5 minutes, 50 days, I'll do one snatch with a 48 with my right, one snatch with the left, done for the day. Tomorrow I'll do my second match. So in 50 days, I'll get it accomplished. To me, the snatch test, at the time was the thing that was like, why do I have to do it?
That was kryptonite.
Yeah. Well, yes, for me, yes. And by the way, why we do snatch test, right?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Why?
This is good. Why do we do the snatches? In your opinion, think about it. Why do we do it? I mean, we focus on strength. We're Strongfirst, right? Mm. We promote anti-glycolytic training, and we promote strength training, and we have 100 reps in 5 minutes. Why do we propose this? Why do we do it? See if you can guess. And I'm thinking about those who are listening to the episode trying to guess.
Well, there's a lot of skill required. No. I don't know. I've never thought about it.
And it's easier than people think. And I recall when I heard Pablo give this answer. You know why? To prevent people we don't want to show up at our certs.
Oh, damn. I mean, fair enough.
No, think about this. Now,
yeah.
We are proud of the quality of our instruction. We say, 1 inch wide, 1 mile deep, and so on. We say, we're really proud of the quality of our certs. So the quality of our certs is related to the quality of attendees. They need to show up prepared. Because if we had a mixed bag, right, with someone who's prepared and someone who's just a beginner, and how could we deliver high quality information? We need to make sure that those who show up are physically prepared, have the strength, have the skill, have the stamina. Now, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You need to have some conditioning to be able to do 100 snatches in 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how stamina you have. You need to be strong to do 100 snatches with 24 in 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how strong and how much stamina you have. You need to have a good technique to be able to complete 100 snatches in 5 minutes. So it means that if you show up ready, knowing that you're going to do 100 snatches with a 24, if you're a gentleman, and with a 16 if you're a lady, it means that you've been training hard for it for months. So this basically sets the bar to a point where people who show up at certs come ready to become instructors. And the same applies to our standards for the body weight or the barbell certs. We set those standards for that reason. one of the things that is interesting that I found in the fitness industry, and it's worldwide. Let's say that you want to become a swimming coach or a downhill skiing coach. What do you need to possess, to own first? The skill, right? I mean, you don't even think about becoming a swimming coach if you're not able to swim.
Yeah.
And you don't think about becoming a downhill skiing coach if you don't know how to ski. Probably you're also someone who has not only knows how to ski or swim, but you probably also competed before you think about becoming a coach. Now, in the fitness industry, you see people who never touched a kettlebell before and become kettlebell certified instructors in a 2 days course or even online. And this happened with personal trainers, it happened with pretty much everything, right? So the main problem is that in the fitness industry, it's the only one where people take an instructor certification without having any previous knowledge or skills, right? Sure. And they get certified. But the reason I see 3 steps. I see learning the skill, knowing to perform the skill is level 0. Level 1 is level 0 is learning. Knowing to perform, how to properly perform the skill is level 1. But level 2 is being able to teach that skill to other people.
Yeah.
And level 3 is being able to teach teachers, right? So knowing how to do the kettlebell swing is one thing. Knowing how to teach it to a third party, to another person, you need more skills. Knowing to teach someone how to teach it to other people is another skill. So if we get at our certs people who don't know the skills already, how can we teach them to teach it to others in 3 days? So we expect that people who show up at our certs already know how to use the kettlebells. Our goal is to make them great instructors. Does this make sense? So the snatch and those testing, make sure that there's no way you can ever think about coming to our certs if you never touched a kettlebell before, knowing about the tests, correct?
Yeah, true.
So show up that you have been training with kettlebells for at least 6 months, consistently, hopefully for a year or 2. And so as instructors, teachers in the course, in the cert, our goal is to help you become a great instructor, not to teach you how to do the swing. So this is the reason for the test. I don't know how we got here, probably my fault, but I thought it was interesting to.
No. It's I mean, we're talking about conditioning, and then we started talking about this, which I think is an excellent point. I think I think in order for our industry to be better and to be a bit more professional, there has to be these levels of quality control, which you guys have been applying, because we are professionals, right? Like we go to school, and this is not to shun on anybody. Like, I want more people to come into the fitness, health and wellness industry, because that means we're going to have more representation, right? But we also need quality. Just like you won't, like, the quality or the barrier of entry for a doctor doesn't drop, right? Like for a lawyer, it's always up there. The bar is always high. We're dealing with health and wellness. Like, we can make a huge impact. So why not? It's not that we're trying to keep people away, but we should really I think we should really make an effort to get the most qualified to teach other people, because a skill like this snatch can be very dangerous in the wrong hands. Like somebody who's right.
Yeah, and you said it, our job is important. We have our health, of people in our hands.
Yeah.
Medical doctors treat people when they're already unhealthy. We preserve people's health if we do a good job. So this is why I do believe that our industry needs to work on quality a lot.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not always taken for granted. It's not granted. And this is why I love being a part of, Strongfirst, because quality is something we really care about. Also with, recertifying instructors every 2 years, having to pass all the tests and so on. I think it's important. when I used to work in Italy, and I had a great time for almost 20 years working for the Italian Federation of Fitness. And probably the reasons for which I left and I joined the RKC and then Strongfirst was because for the very first time, I saw so much attention to details and so much care about delivering quality, and to the point of being ready, to fail people at the certs, no matter how much they get disappointed. And I do have at least here in Europe or in Italy, at least, most of the time, if you pay for the course, you'll get it. It's so basically I'm purchasing my diploma. I don't want this. You need to earn your certificate. So
No,
it's
I mean that, and that's how, that's how it should be, right? And I think also in terms of this quality control, I think if you're a coach and you've been around long enough, you're also open to more feedback, and it makes you better, right? And I think sometimes for more of the novice coaches, I've seen it, and again, it's not a dig at anybody. Um, people tend to take constructive criticism sometimes a little bit too negatively, and I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm not like I've been coaching for a long time. That doesn't mean anything, but a couple of days ago, I'm currently doing plan 202301. I think Coach Kenneth, I think he's the one that piloted that. I made a mistake on how I was applying it. He reached out. He's like, "Hey, do you need help because you're messing up, or you made a mistake in this?" And I'm like, "Dude, absolutely. Like, help me out because I know it's going to make me better, right?" But you just have to have an open mind and understand that people are coming from the best place and trying to help you make you better.
and being ready to become a student again, admit, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, I'm ready to learn. Teach me.
Exactly.
We are. If you want to, what is to me, a good instructor a good coach has two master qualities.
Okay.
First one is being a student all the time, and the second one is caring. It's not about, everybody says, oh, empathy, attention to details, skills. Yes, you need to care. If you care about your athlete, your student, you have it all. It says it all. But on the other end, you need to be a student. I don't know about, I'm pretty sure that you have the same. I realize there's several things I teach at certs, and I learn them by watching my students. Sometimes I recall situations in which I saw someone doing something I never thought about, like for instance in the getup, I like that. Say, do you mind if I teach it? I mean, it doesn't matter, the master is not the one who always teaches. You can learn from anyone, and you got to be ready to learn and ready to say, oh my God, I thought this for 10 years and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I get that all the time. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Michael Boyle said it best. He's like, just cheat off the best people. Like, if you see somebody doing it really well, just steal it and cheat, like in a good way, right? Just like,
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah, like if somebody's doing a better job, just adopt it and apply it.
And there'll always be someone who's doing a better job than we do. I mean,
All the time.
Yeah,
All the time. And it's in the last place we'll think of. Yeah, like you said, right? You'll see like one of your students doing a thing a certain way, or maybe teaching it a certain way. You're like, dude, that makes so much sense. Like I'm gonna take it, and it happens all the time.
I've been in the industry for many years now. I mean, I started teaching for the Italian Federation of Fitness in 1994. So it's 30 years almost that I teach. And I was speaking at a Congress here. Congress was sustainable bodybuilding. And so it was about natural bodybuilding, and it was a big crowd, there were 500 people there. And I had my intervention of 1 hour, and most of the other speakers were folks who took the courses with me years ago. They were my students, And, so it was great because I did my part. I had 2 parts of 1 hour in a weekend. And the rest, I sat down and I was a student. And I learned so much new stuff I was not aware of from my students, seeing, and some people get jealous. I was so proud seeing that people who like 10 years earlier or 15 years earlier took a course with me and I taught them the basics. I said, I'm learning from those guys. They improved so much, they way better. They have so much information I don't have. I felt super proud because my hope is just, hey, maybe I just gave them the little, spark that made them, improve and made them want to, explore and to learn and so on. So at the end, we had this final speech all together, and I said, being at this place, I was glad to see that I'm becoming obsolete. Which is something strange. I was thinking about Arnold in Terminator. One of the last 7 minutes said, "Are you obsolete?" Right now, when you feel that you're becoming, almost obsolete, and you've been leading, at least in Italy, I've been teaching folks for years. To me, it's not a bad thing because, guess what? We'll all become obsolete sooner or later. But this was, I said it in a good way. I didn't say totally obsolete. Almost, I'm about to become obsolete because it means that the industry has grown so much that all the information that were groundbreaking when you disclosed them the first time are now something that people already have, and they went 2 levels further. This is great. This is great. I mean, when I will only have to learn, nothing else to teach, it means I can retire but can be proud because the industry has has improved so much. I would be proud of that.
No, absolutely. And on that, I mean, on that note, like I do want to thank you guys. I do want to thank everybody from Strongfirst. I think you guys make really complex things easy to understand. And I mean, ever since I found like this methodology, I think it's improved the way that I see training so much, so it's improved the way that I see training, and it's made me rethink a lot of how I apply certain things. So I do want to thank you, for just always being so accessible. Also, Coach, thank you. It means a lot.
So happy to hear it. I can just be proud of this and happy about that because this is our goal.
Boom.
What power to the people, right? That's the idea.
Yeah. No, 100%. So I think we're gonna wrap things up, Coach. I want to thank you once again for jumping on, and then we'll schedule the next call so we can talk
Yeah.
about soccer and just all the conditioning stuff. And I look forward to seeing you at the seminar in person. So any last words before we stop recording?
So thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Martin, for inviting me again. And we'll speak soon with Mauro, and we'll meet in.
Let's go.